Okay, so I'm Kim Shannon with PokerStrategy.com, and I'm here at the WPT Poker Open at the Borgata with Amanda Musumeci.
Close enough, I'll take it.
Musumeci?
Musumeci. Yeah.
Who just finished in which place?
What event?
You just busted in the main.
Oh, in the main event, WPT here?
Was today you fired your second bullet, correct?
Today was my second bullet, so there's no placements yet.
So they're not in the money
I busted in 900th place.
Okay, so
something non-quantifiable because no one cares.
What happened? What happened today?
Well, I actually had an awful day. I was downward trending. We started with 30K. I had a table full of just random people who I didn't know, so it was supposed to be what we would think is an easy table. But every time I flop top pair, they always flop the set, and it was guys who are playing good, honest ABC poker, where if I bet and they raise, I know they have it for sure. So I kept just being really, guys, and I had to fold, and they'd always show me the nuts, and I'd be like, okay, nice hand, and it was just like that all day.
Showing you the nuts?
They're happy to show me.
Why do you think? Do you think that has anything to do with you being a female player?
Probably.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll pull a little flirtatious card and try to get them to show me, come on, sir, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. You can say things
Sure.
like that and get away with that when you're a chick, and it's not weird.
And you don't think you have no problem with using your femininity as an edge?
No, you need to use every edge that you can in poker. So why not?
I agree.
Just one more to use.
So pretty much you couldn't get any cards, you couldn't make anything happen.
I was just running so bad, and I got down to 13K at dinner break. We came back from dinner break, the blinds were 200 and 400, so I had 30-ish bigs, and when I came back I started getting some cards, and I was in every hand post dinner break for an orbit and a half, so I played probably 9 out of the 10 hands that we played. And I had been I 3-bet Joketa a few times and he folded. I check raised 2 flops and they folded to me. So I was beginning to build an aggressive image, and then I get into a hand. This is my bust hand. I open with 10s from early position to 950 at 400. I have about 17K to start the hand, which is healthy. So I opened to 950. The guy from under the gun +1. The guy next to me flats. Another guy flats. Another guy flats. Now usually when I open, I think my opponents would probably think oh, she's full of crap because she's been opening a lot and she's been active, so she probably doesn't have a great hand here. And so when they all flat call behind, they never have huge hands either. If they had jacks or better or ace king, they would be 3-betting, and none of them did. So it's easy for the players behind all these flatters to try to take advantage and squeeze in that spot and just take down a massive pot of all these 950s and flat calls, right?
Sure.
So this guy who got to the table, I saw his buddy whisper and tell him who I am, and I saw him looking at me, so I knew he now knows who I am. And it was the hand before that he got this information. So now this guy is in the big blind and he's eyeing me up after this whole scenario of me raising and all the flatters. He decides to go for a squeeze. He goes to 5,500 out of the big blind. And I'm yeah, right, this guy is full of crap. It's a perfect squeeze spot for him. He picks up all these chips just with this one bet, and no one's going to contest it too often. No one behind me. None of the flatters have a big enough hand typically to get it in there, unless they're somehow trapping, which is very unlikely. So I ended up just shipping it in for 17K, and one of the guys behind me was in fact trapping because I had been playing so aggressively. He didn't want to 3-bet me pre because I guess he thought I would fold most of my hands since he thought I was opening crap. So he ended up flatting me with queens. Oh. So when I ship, he snap reshoves, and the guy who is squeezed snap folds. So I know that when my play was good against the guy who was squeezing, my read against him was correct, that he was just trying to take advantage of that spot. But it sucked because the guy behind me was trapping me with queens, and I ended up getting 10s versus queens for the bust out.
Too bad.
6 spot.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Are you going to play anything else?
I might play a couple of the post limbs. I'll be here for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be sure to watch you in that.
Yeah.
So talk to us about what your strategy was coming in with your second bullet. Not, after, you bust day 1A, do you switch up your strategy on 1B, or do you keep your same strategy?
No, I keep my same strategy. I started as an online player, so I have a set of rules that I follow, and or basic guidelines that I follow. I know all the fundamentals, so I'm just gonna do every day when I go and I sit down. I'm just gonna play the best poker I can and try to take advantage of all the spots that I can and try to exploit as many players and as many spots as I can. So, I'm just going to go into it the same way every day and play my heart out and see if I can make something of it.
And tell us what your normal strategy is.
Normal strategy?
Sure.
Well, I would say just really basics would be, especially in these re-entry tournaments, you have a lot more wiggle room to be aggressive early and to play a lot of pots and build an image. So while the pots can still be small, it's good to play a lot of pots and build a really aggressive image. And then when the blinds start getting bigger, sometimes I'll try to I'll begin to tighten up a little bit, and then I'll begin to get credit for my big hands. And the blinds are so big that at that point I'm making big pots of people when I have my big hands. So it works out really well. They all think I'm a spaz at that point.
Yeah, you're on the must get paid list.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I'm like, let's get paid. So that's pretty much like a basic strategy. In non-re-entries, it might work actually the opposite, where I would play kind of just standard early on because everyone has so many chips and they're all going to be dabbling around in pots, and you don't have the ability to re-enter in regular freeze-outs. So in regular freeze-outs, instead of building an image like that early, I would tend to go more on the tight side early and play kind of ABC-ish early. You can still pick and choose some good spots if you see them. Like squeeze spots, I love squeezing. It's a great play.
Why?
Just because, especially being a female, people are just never expecting you to even see a spot like that, let alone have the guts to take a spot like that and put a bunch of your chips in. So when guys see me cut out a raise for a third of my stack, they always give me credit, unless
Sure.
they know who I am or have an aggressive image. So you have to be conscious of your image and how your table's perceiving you before you pull out, such moves.
Well, I mean, at this point, especially after your huge cash at the series this summer, congratulations,
Thank
by the way.
you.
People now are starting to know who you are. I
Yeah.
remember I played with you in the ladies' event maybe last summer,
Yeah.
and I had no idea who's this lady yelling at the waitress. And my boyfriend texted me, "That's Amanda Musumeci." I said, "Oh, son of a bitch!" But people are now starting to know who you are. So is that going to affect your strategy at all?
I mean, I have to just go based off of how people play me. And most of the times people know who I am, they let me know that they know. They're like, oh, hey, Amanda, great job this summer. And then I know they know who I am, and I can make a note of that. Sometimes it kind of sucks when people blow up my spot at the table if no one's talking about it and no one seems to know who I am, or if they do, they've been keeping to themselves. It sucks because even sometimes I travel the circuit, so a lot of the dealers know me, and even the dealers will blow up my spot and be like, Amanda, awesome summer, and the whole team's like, what'd you do this summer? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? So they blow up my spot sometimes like that, and that sucks, and then you have to adjust, but it's actually, I can create different images, and it gives me different edges and different tables. This summer, for instance, I was deep in I think it was a 2500 six max.
I remember that.
And I had a bunch of chips, and I would move from one table to another. And at my previous table, the first table I was at, I was playing, I was looking really tough and looking really aggressive and staring people, giving them the glare, the death stare. And I'm shuffling my chips like I'm an experienced card player. And that's the image I wanted at that table. And then I get moved to a new table, and it's Jason Mercier, and it's all these sicko players at my table. And I'm like, okay, these guys probably knew I had my score earlier in the summer. They may have heard my name, but I can still probably make them believe that I'm a lucky girl who got there.
I'm playing aces and ace king.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get there, and I play the idiot chip card to the max. It was the funniest thing. I wish you could have seen it. I'm picking up chips out of my chip stack, and I'm
Count it out in stacks of 10.
Right. Raise. Or making a butterfly shape out of my chips, or a heart, or a flower. And I'm check min raising paired flops, and they just believe me all day long. It was the funniest thing. I had my whole reel cracking up. It was the best thing ever. But you can change your image depending on how you want people to see you and how you expect them to play at you. I knew that if I went to a table of really experienced players at that six max table, and I acted like the tough girl who's shuffling chips, they're all going to try to own me. They're all going to be 3, 4, 5 betting me, putting me in really tough spots. And I didn't want to be at tough spots with tough players. I'd much rather make it simple for myself. And so to keep it simple, I said, I'm going to play the idiot chick card, and they're just always going to give me credit. And I'm going to know exactly what they're doing, and they're just going to give me credit.
So you're pretty much, your strategy is you just want to be on the must get paid list no matter what you have to do.
Yes.
And you seem to be pretty adept at figuring out what action needs to be taken in order to get you there.
And what image, especially. I think image is like so much, because in online days I never had that catalyst to bring into the game. And then over the past year and a half that I've been like learning and adjusting to playing live, that's the biggest thing that I've tweaked in my game, is just how I've toyed with my image and just seeing how your image changes how people are going to react to you at the table. And I've actually begun to find what's optimal to get people to think about you in certain situations. So to know that is like eureka. Like, you can do so much with that. Yes.
So what was your so how are your results online? You've got a bunch of results online, correct?
Yeah, I played online for 4 years, and I think I have probably around like $800,000 or $900,000 in online earnings, which
is that all?
Yeah, which doesn't even compare to my live results, because in the 4 years that I played, I made $800,000, and then this year that I've played live, I made $800,000.
500. You're I think you're 171 on the money list of 2012 so far.
There you go.
That does not suck.
No.
So what did you do when you were online that you couldn't, when you couldn't really exploit your image like that? How did you manage to beat that, cash that much? What was your major strategy online versus live? What's the major difference?
Online is like all fundamentals. It's all like math and timing, like little timing tells, because you obviously only have a small time bank, but you can still see if someone's taking time to think on the flop, or if they're snap clicking, call or fold. So really you have to pay attention to the little things like that. And that actually helps, because when you do end up coming into live poker, you need to have all that and be able to bring it in. And what's really interesting is if you play with really experienced live pros who haven't had the online background, they make so many fundamental mistakes, and everything that they do is feel-based. But I've seen like multiple bracelet winners, I'm not going to say any names, I don't want to offend anybody, but I've seen people who are multiple bracelet winners opening in a World Series event to 4.5x every single hand. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, I know better than that, and I've been playing poker for 5 years, and you've been playing for 30 years. So how don't you know that this is so not optimal? But those guys never learned the fundamentals, because, in online, that's what we had to focus on, was learning those fundamentals. The live guys, when they start playing, they focus on feel. It's all feel-based. Getting a read on somebody, trying to exploit somebody based off of that feel. We don't have that feel in online poker, so we're forced to use all those fundamentals. And they never learned on the live guys.
How did you learn the fundamentals?
By going online. And when I first started, I made like $5,000 my first month playing, and I quit my waitressing job in college and started grinding online. And when I lost half that money back to the online world, I never had money, so I was like, I don't want to lose this last $2,500. This is a lot of money to me. So in order to keep that bankroll going, I decided to go get training. And I went on to pocket5.com, which is a site that lists who everyone is and what they're ranked in the world. And I found who was ranked, in the top 10 that lived in the tri-state area around where I lived. And I began to network with them, and I messaged them privately, and I'm like, hey, 22, female, looking for training. Would you mind, letting me sit in on some of your sessions? And, of course, I got some positive.
Can you drop me some names of who you were trained by?
Yeah, sure. The biggest person at that point in my life in the early stages was Matt Stout, all in at 420.
Love him.
He's a hero. And thanks to him, I got to go to his house and watch his Sunday sessions, and it would be like G. Borrow and Kenny Rabb and Matt Vengren.
Beasts, all of them.
Right, all beasts. And I just got to sit there and watch them all play every Sunday, and so that was amazing.
And did they, talk to you literally? Okay, so when you're short stack and you're in mid position, this is how you're supposed to play. I mean, they gave you specifics like that.
I had no idea that you were supposed to shove ace anything from the button with 5 big. I had no 5 big blinds, ace 6. Ace 6 is a crappy hand. Why would I ever go all in with that? I was such a fish. I have no idea how I made my first 5K. No clue. I can't. And I wish I could get the hand histories now and look back and see how fishy I was.